Hello everyone, today I'll be doing a demonstration on how to check your vehicle's fluid levels. Now what this video will be covering is your engine coolant, your washer fluid, engine oil, and transmission fluid. And on this particular vehicle I can also show you how to check your transfer case fluid because this is an all-wheel drive. This is a 2000 Subaru Outback with a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder automatic. Now with regards to locations, now these do vary between vehicles. Usually you can consult with your owner's manual and find what location is of your where to check the fluid levels. Now with this here, now here's your radiator. This is your reservoir tank. Your reservoir tank does vary in your location. Radiators are always known to be up front of the vehicle. Never remove this lid when the vehicle is hot or running because this fluid will actually come out and you do have the chance of burning yourself. Now normally vehicles do have a specified type of coolant that they require, and also you can go and get this at your local auto parts store or dealer. Now I know with the Volkswagen it does require a special type of fluid, and some are not compatible with others. Now you can add your antifreeze. There's a mixed antifreeze, which is usually a 50-50 with water. Now there's a full concentrated antifreeze, and then you can add possibly water. Usually what I recommend you do is add a 50-50 mix. Now you can buy this pre-mixed, or you can actually mix it yourself. Normally what they call for is a distilled water, because it does not contain any chemical additives or minerals, which can possibly cause your aluminum block to corrode or any of your engine internals, and therefore it would plug up your coolant system and you could possibly overheat your vehicle. Normally what they do is they have lines on the side of the tank, which is kind of a little hard to see. Right there is my full line, so it's right on perfect, and then it also has a minimum line down below. When it's at your minimum line, you normally want to fill it up. Now this does vary depending on the temperature of your vehicle's coolant. Now you normally check this when the vehicle is cold. Next I'll be moving on is the engine oil. Normally there's two locations with regards to engine oil. One is your fill location, the other is your check location. Now your check location is just a dipstick. Now these locations do vary. Your fill location is usually located along your valve cover somewhere. Now with this vehicle it's actually an opposed 4-cylinder, so the valve covers are along the sides. And with the dipstick, now this is usually located anywhere along the front of your motor or along the sides itself. Now they're usually a bright color. Sometimes I've seen them actually to be black, but normally they're orange, yellow, or red. Sometimes they can be. This one particular one's a T handle here. Other ones do have a loop on top, so you actually put your finger inside. This is to be checked when your vehicle is not running. And what you do is you pull your dipstick out. Now you want to first wipe it off to clean the oil off it, just to get a correct reading. And then continue to insert it back into your engine, and then pull it back out again and check the level. Now as you can see here, the correct level is right with my car here. Now it depends, the dipsticks do vary. This is just a steel one. Sometimes they are a kind of a wire style one. They'll always have some type of measurement system on the bottom. Now usually in your owner's manual they usually tell you how to read it. Normally you'll have a mark here for your full, and then as you can see down below, it's a little hard to see on the camera, but there's also a mark for your low. Now between these two locations is roughly a quart low when it's at the low mark. You usually want it about halfway. Now this does vary between the temperature of your oil. Usually when your oil warms up it does expand a little bit, so it might appear a little higher on the dipstick. Now with refilling your oil, if you want to move on to here, if you're low, now you want to refill it with the correct oil that you are using in your vehicle. Now if you have the conventional motor oil or the synthetic, you do not want to mix either of them. Normally what you want to do is just go down to your local auto parts store or gas station. Now they will carry a quart of oil if you are low, and you just want to top it up and then check it over again to make sure that you're at the correct level. Now if you do run low on motor oil, it's not good for your motor, can cause damage to it, so you always want to keep sure that's always kept up tip top. Now we'll be moving on to washer fluid. Now washer fluid is fairly straightforward. You don't have to worry about if your vehicle's engine's hot or not. This fluid is just simply to use to clean your windshield, your back window, or your headlights in some vehicle models. Now there is different types of fluid you can get out there. Now there's a summer rated fluid, which actually doesn't take as much to freeze it. Then there's a winter rated fluid, which actually withstands a lot colder temperatures, especially if you're doing a lot of highway driving. And there's also other types which come to mind. It's a Rain-X style fluid, which actually puts a coating on your windshield so you don't actually have to use your wipers, and when it's raining the water actually beads off. Now you can mix these up, and sometimes if you're just in a pinch in the summertime you can add a little bit of water to it. It's not a big deal. Now we'll move on to brake fluid. Now your brake fluid reservoir is located right here. It's usually on the firewall somewhere. Sometimes they're located up in the front depending on the vehicle's manufacturer. So usually right off the brake booster itself on top of the master cylinder. Now with brake fluid, there is a clear reservoir, and you'll see a maximum line, which my fluid is perfect, and then there's a minimum line. Now what you want to do is always maintain this. Now if you do go low on fluid and you actually run out of fluid, what will happen is you get air in your systems and you actually lose control of your brakes. So you always want to make sure that's maintained. Now with what type of fluid is required, you always have to consult with what type of vehicle you have. Sometimes it'll be located in the manual. Other times on this particular model it's actually located right on top of the lid here. It says what type is required, which is .3. And then when you simply go to the store, you'll have to take that same type and then actually buy the same make and then refill it. Now moving on to your transmission. Now automatic vehicles normally do have a check location. Manual transmissions, you have to climb underneath the vehicle to look at it. It's usually a plug you have to remove on the side of the transmission. There is some automatic transmissions that actually don't have a check location, which is for instance a BMW. They have a lifetime fluid, so you actually have to take it into the dealer to check it. Now you always want to maintain this, because if your fluid does go low, your transmission will start to slip, and this can do harm to your transmission, and in the end it can be a very costly fix. Now the dipstick is usually located along the firewall somewhere here on that side or the other side here. Sometimes it can be located up front here too, depending if you have a transverse drivetrain, which is known on the front wheel drives. Now this vehicle here is an all-wheel drive. And what you want to do is basically the same principle as engine oil. It will have high and low marks on it. Similar style dipstick, usually a colorful one. It can be red, orange, yellow, black. And then what you want to do is simply pull it out and then check your fluid. Now I want to make note that you have to do this while your vehicle is running, and you have to make sure your vehicle is at normal operating temperature. And what I recommend you do is actually pull it through all the gears, so park, drive, reverse, and then put it back in park. Then check your oil while the vehicle is running then, and it'll show you how low your oil is. Now this particular model here, I'm not going to actually start the vehicle up because it's a little hard to explain while the vehicle is running, because I don't think you'll be able to hear me speak. Now it does have 4 different holes. Now the holes on the one side, what they're for is actually when the vehicle is warm and then your fluid is hot, so you can actually check it then. Normally you want it between the halfway mark. The other 2 holes at the bottom here are actually when the vehicle is still cold. Now normally when you check your engine oil while the vehicle is not running, it's always going to show a higher reading than when it is running. So that's why you always check it when it's running, and you want to make sure everything, all the fluid is through the valve body and torque converter and etc. So as for filling it, sometimes they may include a fill location, other times they don't. This particular model here, you actually have to use your, it's actually hard to see on the camera here, but it's down on the bottom there. You actually have to fill it through that way with a funnel. Now it can be a little tricky, and what you also want to do is consult with your manual or your dealer and find out what the correct fluid is that your vehicle is required, because some fluids you can't mix them and they're not compatible with each other, and it could cause problems. Now in this particular model you can check the transfer case levels. Normally you have to climb underneath the vehicle to also check that. Typical transfer cases, they usually take a gear oil. Some may take an automatic transmission oil. Again, you will have to consult with your owner's manual to see what the required fluid is. Now Normally the location for that on this Subaru is located right down below there. It is a yellow dipstick, so it's fairly easy to see. Other vehicles, again, this transfer cases are known to be on all-wheel drive and four-wheel drive vehicles, and you have to check them from actually underneath the vehicle. Same way as a manual transmission, there's normally a plug on the side of the transfer case itself to check the oil. Now again, this particular model here, it does actually have a low and a high fill, so you can check this while your vehicle's not running, because it's just a normal basically gearbox, and that's how that's done. That's it for my video. If you have any comments or questions, please don't hesitate to post them. Thank you for watching.